Original post. My 28 male girlfriend, 25 female Julie, has a weird obsession with cartoons. I don't mind it. She had a really rough childhood where she wasn't allowed to watch any children's shows. And she only started watching after she turned 18 and moved out. She watches everything, but her most favorite ones are SpongeBob SquarePants, Powerpuff Girls, Phineas and Ferb, Teen Titans, and many more. If I am being honest, I like this obsession of hers, even if it is kinda weird to me to see a grown adult watching a kid's show. But I think everyone should have a childhood which she clearly missed. So last week, I threw a get-together at my house. I invited all of my friends. My best friend Rachel, 28 female, was also there. She has been my best friend for almost 15 years now. She has met Julie, and I never thought they had any bad blood between them. Rachel seems to really like Julie. So at a party, we were all having fun and playing games. I should mention that Rachel was wearing a fedora. Julie had to stay late for work that day, so when she arrived, the party had already started. When Rachel came to say hi, she didn't have her fedora on her head. She put that hat on in front of Julie, and Julie said in a mimicking Doofenshmirtz voice, "Perry the platypus." She thought this was funny because Rachel's last name is Perry. So Julie made a joke that she only gets it. I smirked a little, but it seems to have caught Rachel off guard. And when Julie went inside a room to change, Rachel, in front of everyone, told me my girlfriend was rude. I apologized and explained this is just a harmless joke she does, and this is a line from her favorite TV show, Phineas and Ferb. She didn't let it go. Instead, she started to press this matter even more. She asked me how can I date a literal child, and that it is really embarrassing that she behaves like one. I told her that's just how she is, but she doubled down and told me she finds it a little creepy that I am dating someone whose brain hasn't developed after 8 years of age. I find it a little offensive because Julie is very smart and works in a STEM field. Rachel also made some odd and hurtful comments seeing my girlfriend's plushies and doll collection. When I tried to defend Julie, Rachel would just shrug and say, "I am your friend. I know what's best for you." She said I shouldn't date someone so immature like Julie, and I am better off with someone more mature. I told her to mind her own business, and that what Julie likes is none of her business. My dating life is my choice, and she should stay the heck out of it. Rachel was giving me and Julie cold shoulders throughout the party. Then later that day, she messaged me and said she could not believe I was such a jerk to her because of my girlfriend, and that I am throwing away our friendship because of her. She hasn't talked to any of us. Julie made plans with Rachel to go on shopping, but Rachel just said she is busy in a text and hasn't contacted her. Julie is sad too because she was excited for their shopping spree. I didn't tell Julie about our fight because she adores Rachel. She would be crushed to know what Rachel has said about her. I am wondering if I went too far. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Does Rachel have a candle for you? Plenty of my adult friends have stuffed animals and watch cartoons, and they're tax-paying adults. My friends are mainly in their 30s, and watching cartoons is genuinely the social norm for us. And there's actually no clearer or stronger sign of immaturity to me than being weird about someone's childish interests. It always comes off as overcompensating. Yes, love me some cartoons. Everyone I know that I consider smart likes cartoons. She's judgy and jealous. Also, Phineas and Ferb is amazing. Your girl has good taste. Rachel has a crush on you. I don't think so. She has had boyfriend before, but none of her behavior seems like she would have a thing for me. The sniping at your girlfriend followed by, "I know what's best for you." Dude, she might as well have painted it on a sign. That is toxic girl code for, "I want you to value me more than her." As an older woman and in the education field, I see this every single day. She likes you. The mature woman she thinks you should date is her. She's jealous, and it is eating her up. She will continuously find things to complain about her girlfriend or mock. She will always tell you that it's because you deserve better, etc. I see this every single day with my students. Anyone who says they know what is best for you needs to take a huge step back. This is your life. You are happy. Let her know that she gets to give an opinion, but when you tell her you're happy, then she needs to stop. Your girlfriend isn't coming between you. Your friend thinking she knows best about your life is coming between you. Now for the update. Hello everyone. Not much has changed. I did talk to Rachel about it. I explained it to her how rude she was. I did tell my girlfriend why Rachel was upset, but Julie was not mad. Instead, she was very apologetic. She said if she knew Rachel would be upset for a little joke, she would have never said anything. She wants to apologize to Rachel. I tried to explain she has nothing to apologize for. She didn't do anything wrong. Instead, Rachel was the one who overreacted. But Julie put her foot down and invited Rachel on a dinner. Julie said sorry. She told Rachel about her childhood, about how her parents were strict and never let her have toys or let her siblings watch cartoon because they were academic nuts who thought those things were too distracting. Julie even cried while telling some of the stories, one of which was when her father beat her because he found a book of Harry Potter under her bed. She escaped that place after she turned 18. Rachel was good and apologized as well. She said she didn't know Julie had such rough childhood, and she was so insensitive towards her. I thought this was it, that Rachel had finally learned her lesson. But when the dinner was done, Rachel took me out to talk privately. She said she is now 100% sure Julie's not right for me. I asked her why, and she told me Julie has a lot of trauma, and I shouldn't be the one to carry the burden. She thinks Julie's past is going to be a problem if we ever have kids. She might start abusing them too. I got angry and told her Julie's nothing like that. She is sweet and kind. She has been going to therapy because of her childhood trauma, so she shouldn't be too hard on her. I even asked if she was jealous of Julie. Rachel did fumble on her words while saying no, but we got into an argument, and in the end, I told her I want some space from her. She has no right to dictate who is right or wrong for me just because she got it right 2 times. She always had problem whenever I dated someone. She has no right over me in my life. Rachel started crying, so I called an Uber for her and didn't say a word beyond it. Now Rachel won't stop calling me. She was blaming Julie for ruining our friendship and even accused her of being a cheater. I told Julie about the whole argument. She cried a lot because she never wanted her little joke to escalate so far. But she agreed Rachel went too far. Rachel sent some very hurtful messages to me about Julie. I didn't tell those to her. Julie has also blocked Rachel. She got angry too when she heard Rachel thinks Julie would also become an abuser. Also, to those people who said that Rachel never liking my ex is a red flag, well, she has good reason to not like them. Before Julie, I had 2 serious relationships before. My first ex cheated on me. Rachel warned me about her, but I brushed it off. My second ex was very controlling and toxic. When we broke up, she slashed my car tire. That's why I sort of think Rachel has good intuition about people. But not this time, because I know she is wrong about Julie. And Rachel always had something to say whenever I wanted to date a girl. Even if she turns out to be right about Julie, I do think Rachel is just too involved in my personal life. Rachel may not be jealous in a romantic sense, but she certainly wants to be the most important woman in Opie's life. His decision to put distance between himself and Rachel, regardless of whether Julie and him stay together, is 1000% the right decision. I can't imagine the arrogance to tell my closest friend, dump this person, I know what's best for you. Like, maybe I could imagine saying, I'm worried about ... But at the end of the day, I respect my friends and their ability to navigate their own relationships. I've had to be the bad guy and tell a friend that I think they're moving too quickly, or point out some glaring red flags I'm seeing with someone they're dating. But I've never tried to break someone up. Rachel isn't looking out for Opie. She's just jealous she's no longer the #1 girl in his life. Julie's joke didn't escalate the matter this far. Julie's joke didn't escalate anything. Rachel was just looking for an excuse to have something against Opie's girlfriends, and found one in a simple normal joke. Nothing Julie said was bad or inappropriate or weird. Right? The other exes just happened to do something to prove Rachel's gut, but she was waiting on Julie to do something. She went from rude to childish to too traumatic, hoping something would stick. Yeah, I'm so freaking dumbfounded why a parried a platypus joke didn't even get laughs out of 28-year-olds. It's a classic cartoon, and most 20-somethings I met who had access to Disney as a kid would have loved that joke. But even if it didn't land, it definitely didn't suggest anyone is immature in my opinion. SpongeBob, P&F, all these cartoons us 20-somethings grew up with are still very much liked and used as jokes or references. Even if Rachel didn't blow the whole thing out of proportion, I judge her taste before Julie's. Wearing a fedora and frowning so much about a very on-point reference. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my friend's proposal disrespectful? Original post. Alright, so here's the deal. My friend, male 27, decided to propose to his girlfriend of 3 years, Dina, female 26. The two met at a bar pre-COVID and were just chatting at first. But it quickly led to more, and eventually the two of them moved in together and discussed marriage. Personally, I think they're a great match, and my friend Steven has never been happier. He told me that he was planning to propose to Dina, and I was ecstatic. Well, the day of the proposal hits, and I called Steven the next day, which was last night, to congratulate him. But he wasn't happy. He told me that Dina had said no. I was shocked and asked if he knew why. He said that she didn't like how he proposed. Now here's the thing. I knew he was going to pop the question, but I didn't know how he was going to do it. He thought it would be romantic to propose at a place they met. Yes, a bar. Already, I could kind of see why she might not like that. But I decided to ask her privately because she and I have gotten to be close. She confided in me that it's because she told Steven multiple times that she didn't want to have a public proposal, and that she was horrified he would do it at a bar full of places, and that she felt disrespected that he didn't accommodate that. I told Steven that his proposal was honestly really disrespectful, and seriously kind of messed up. To which he told me I was being an insensitive a-hole, and should be supportive as a friend rather than talking down on him. But I don't know if I'm wrong here. Am I the a-hole for calling my friend's proposal disrespectful? Added to clarify, I am actually female. Now for the comments before the update. Steven is the a-hole. If his girlfriend told him not to propose in a public setting, he should have respected that. The bar thing doesn't bother me because it's their first date. What's bothersome is he did something she specifically asked him not to, and now his feelings are hurt because he didn't listen to her. Not the a-hole. Also, if she eventually changes her no to a yes, it sets up a bad pattern where Steven wants to get kudos for not listening and paying attention. The cornerstone of a good relationship. This is so true. I'm stuck in a toxic living situation with someone with full-blown NPD. The covert kind, or I wouldn't have ended up there. And he does this all the time. Does stuff that I've blatantly said not to do. Lost my cool at him and warned him about many times. Then when I lose my cool once more, it's "you're just mad that I" insert something that I totally would be wrong for being mad about if it was actually what I was mad about. This guy is probably like, "You're just mad that I proposed." Not a-hole. Good on you for not taking your friend's side just because he's your friend. He sounds manipulative, and the people on the receiving end of manipulation always need outsiders, assuring them that they're not crazy. Oof, I genuinely hope you're not living with my ex. He would definitely have said something like, "Well, geez, I'm sorry I wanted to propose to you," or "I'm sorry I wanted to be romantic. You're just mad cause I didn't order the same drink as the time we met." When really it would have been me who got a different drink without thinking anything of it. Or something equally ludicrous and backhanded. And then absolutely anyone but him would be insensitive for not agreeing with him. I hope you gained the resources you need to unstuck yourself from that. Internet strangers are rooting for you. Not the a-hole. He's the one who's not listening to what his partner is saying. It's the same as like guys buying their girlfriend gold or silver rings, but they bought the wrong one. Like gold for their girlfriend who only wears silver. It shows a lack of caring and attentiveness on a very basic level. Like you should know your girlfriend's preferences. Now for the update. Update for those who ask. This whole situation played out far differently than I expected. I didn't know that Steven had read it, and he saw everything. All of this. He confronted me about it, and while he was ticked off that I aired their dirty laundry, he did end up thanking me for posting it, because it gave him a different perspective. So thank you, commenters. As for their relationship, Dina and Steven are still living together. Sort of. Dina was upset over the whole event, and has spent the past couple days mostly at her parents' house, and then working it out with Steven at night. Dina said she's working on forgiving him, but mostly has been bothered that her wishes weren't met. At this time, they are not engaged, and Dina has no plans for that anytime soon. I did tell Steven that if they stayed together, I would help him plan a proposal in the future. The three of us live in Florida, and we're all relatively close to a beach. So I suggested to Steven the next time he proposed, he do it in the evening at a beach or somewhere private without a lot of people or noise. Steven also told Dina he is planning on returning the ring he bought and will be giving her some of the money to use for whatever she wants. I think he ordered flowers to be sent to her work too, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess it all worked out in the end. I remember driving somewhere with my then boyfriend and mentioning that I didn't care a lot about how I was proposed to, as long as it wasn't in public. The color drained from his face. I obviously didn't know it, but he had been planning to propose at a restaurant that was special to us, with all of our friends and family present. I didn't even know he was considering proposing. To his eternal credit, he scrapped that plan and proposed later in a beautiful, well-thought-out private way, and I didn't know about the scrapped public proposal until long after. Yes, we got married, and still are 22 years later. Haha, when I first read this, I thought you were driving to the proposal when you said that. Good on him for changing the plan. Steven was really angry I'd aired his dirty laundry, so here's the rest of the story. Lol. I hope they were able to find a proposal that made them both happy. It would have been so easy to get what they both wanted to. He rents out the bar so they're alone, pops the question, celebratory drinks, calls friends and family that are on standby and have a party. Why is it so hard for people to freaking listen to their partner? Especially with something as emotional as a marriage proposal. Me? I'd love a public proposal, as long as the public wasn't inconvenienced by it. I'm not the least bit shy, but plenty of people wouldn't like that at all, like Opie's girlfriend. Honestly, I'd have a pretty hard time moving forward in a relationship where my direct and clear expectations for something that big were ignored. What else would be ignored? If my partner can't handle a straightforward request like no public proposal, I would wonder what else will be disregarded and take a hard look about smaller things that I ignored because it didn't seem like a big deal. I told my ex I would say no to a proposal if he asked my father for permission/blessing. He got very agitated and said he had to because otherwise it was disrespectful. I figured this was a pretty clear indicator of my future. Update. I just saw a video of my best friend's fiance, 27 female, calling my wife, 26 female, a slur. I'm supposed to be his best man at their wedding next week. Original post. I'll keep this short, but I, 28 male, am married to a black woman. I love her so much, and no one I've ever met has had a problem with her or our relationship. My best friend since childhood, also 28 male, is getting married next Saturday to his fiancée Carly, 27 female. She's always been really nice, and both me and my wife like her. Then I got a message from one of Carly's bridesmaids on Instagram a few minutes ago with a video of Carly calling my wife the N-word. I'm just shocked right now and don't know what to think. I never would have expected her to say something like that, and she's never had a problem with my wife, at least not to my knowledge. I'm supposed to be the best man at their wedding, but I'm not sure if I want to stand there and watch my best friend marry a woman who said something like that about my wife. I haven't brought it up to my wife or best friend yet, but I'm going to have to sooner than later. I'm also starting to wonder if my best friend knows about her racism and feelings towards my wife. I'm just lost right now. I don't know where to go from here. How am I even supposed to bring this up to my friend? And how do I tell my wife without hurting her? I just really don't know what to do. Now for the top advice before reading the update. This is one of those situations where you just need to rip the band-aid off and have the difficult conversations. It will likely hurt your wife's feelings, but it's not you causing her the pain, and she absolutely needs to know. Your friend also needs a heads up that he's about to marry a horrible person. Yeah, this is not something you can just sit on. Dude's about to marry her. He deserves to know the dirty stuff. The worrisome thing is that he might know, and he may also be one. He for sure needs to talk to his friend. I imagine that conversation might be easier than talking to his wife, though. First off, tell your wife immediately. She has a right to know, and trying to keep this from her will only damage your own relationship. Secondly, send a video to your best friend and ask for an explanation, because there are really only two, and the distinction between them is important. Either one, he has no idea is marrying a racist, which means this is information he badly needs to have, so he can make an informed decision about whether or not he wants to spend the rest of his life with this person. Or two, he does know is marrying someone like that, and is fine with it. In that case, this is information that you badly need to have, so you can make an informed decision about who your friends are and what their values are. Either way, you have to tell him, then just see how he reacts. In either case, I would step down as best man. It would be incredibly disrespectful to my wife to basically endorse a marriage where at least one of the people getting married calls her slurs. Yep, and be prepared to lose the friend, because something tells me he is not going to be shocked by this news and he will defend her. Now, let's not get reductive. He could very well be surprised and still defend her. He may also not be surprised and not defend her. Like, yeah, she says some racist stuffs, and when she does, I just tell her it's not cool and leave for a bit. Hopefully she changes, and if not, I'm gonna have to work double hard on kids. Actually, both of those somehow seem worse than not being surprised and defending. Thanks a lot for the advice. You don't know how appreciative I am of everyone who's been willing to help and give me tips on how to solve this. There's a lot that's happened this past day, so my post on Reddit slipped my mind. And now for the update. Hey everyone! Thanks for all the advice and tips you guys gave me on my previous post. You really don't know how much it means to me that so many people were willing to help. I figured that me and my wife were going to experience racism at some point, but I never expected it from people who we were so close to. There was a lot that happened yesterday, and my post on Reddit completely slipped my mind. So sorry for all the late replies. I talked to my friend first, just to check if he knew. I asked him to come over when my wife wasn't home so we could talk. I showed him the video, and he was shocked. He apologized numerous times and said he would talk to his fiancée. He did confront her, and the wedding isn't happening anymore. He had told her that he needed to talk to her about something, and she apparently broke down. Turns out, she had cheated on him a few months ago with a coworker, and she thought he'd found out. So yeah, the wedding isn't happening, and my friend is crushed. I feel bad for him, but at least they found out she's a cheater and an awful person before they got married. I'm also relieved that he didn't know about her racism. I did start wondering if he had been condoning it or had the same feelings, but I'm glad he didn't. As for my wife, I sat her down and showed her the video. I wasn't too sure about showing her because she is a really sensitive person, and nothing breaks my heart more than seeing her cry. I figured it was better to just tell her instead of having her find out by herself and be mad at me for keeping it from her. She started crying after she saw it and didn't want to talk. I've bought her favorite food/snacks, tried to get her to talk, cuddled with her, pretty much everything. I hate seeing her like this, and I'm not sure how to comfort her. So if anyone can give me some extra advice on that, it'd be much appreciated. I might show her the comments on my previous post so she can feel better. That's pretty much all. A friend did send an apology via text to my wife, but I'm not sure if she's responded yet. Thanks to everyone who helped and gave really useful advice on how to approach this. Edit, some people were asking why I showed her the video, and it's because she asked. I sat her down and told her that my friend's fiancé had said some horrible things. She asked if it was a misunderstanding, and I told her I had a video. She asked to see it, and I showed her. Don't forget to thank the bridesmaid that sent you the video that stopped your friend from making a huge mistake. She put herself on the line for all the right reasons. MVP right there. Yeah, I did something similar and lost my best friend over it. He is still married to that freaking witch. Excellent. You handled that really well, and ultimately you saved your friend so much future pain and heartache by being a good, honest friend. I'm sure he's crushed. Continue to be a good friend to him. He's going to have to heal from this unexpected turn in his life. Your wife needs to process this. She is different in your world in a way you cannot begin to relate to. Know that. She was really lied to in such an appalling way by mean girl bully, and the backstabbing is really tremendous. Let her process the situation her own way, while knowing how much you love her, and that you went to bat on the correct side of this situation as soon as you were aware, and that terrible person is now out of all of your lives. Hugs to you both. Not a person of color, but I would hazard a guess that her reaction isn't only about a slur. It's the loss of trust in others, and in her own judgment, that she probably considered the ex-future wife to be a friend. Some people can work through that on their own. Most people would benefit from therapy. Yeah, a lot of us pride ourselves in being able to tell, which isn't actually realistic. It's just a defense against the fact that anyone can be two-faced. The alternative is to assume everyone is. No real way to get through the day otherwise. You're always dealing with white folks. So having the rug pulled out from under you, being reminded that no, you can't actually tell with 100% accuracy, can be devastating. It's also one thing to know that some strangers will hate you for your skin without even knowing you. It's another to realize that someone who does know you, who does hang out with you, is friendly and knows that you're a kind, genuine person, will still be hateful to you. Maybe not to your face, but behind your back. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for saying I didn't want my fiancé's best friend to be best man? Original post. My fiancé Grant, 29 male, and I, 27 female, have been dating for years. I knew I wanted to marry him about a year in, but he's been wishy-washy about the marriage. His best friend Keith, 28 male, is married to a friend of mine, Hannah. Since we were 20, Keith was a rude, jealous person who hated me. He hated all of Grant's girlfriends. I tried telling Grant the reason he had no other friends than Keith was because Keith chased everyone around away. For example, I once wore something cute for a date, and Keith told me I looked like the garbage can they had. Grant insisted Keith didn't mean to be rude. Grant wanted my friends to hang out with him and Keith, when I just wanted Grant there. I relented. I regretted it when the first time they met my friends. Keith was so rude he reduced Hannah to tears. It was so over the top that even he had to later apologize and made it up to her. My fiancé and I were discussing the wedding. He insisted that Keith had to be his best man, and I refused. I said Keith could be a groomsman, but I did not want that man symbolizing love. Grant got mad and said he had to return the favor as he was Keith's best man and I was Hannah's bridesmaid. I stood my ground, and he threw up his hands and said he would never get married. Edit is not one situation. I was using those to illustrate how his best friend is in general. He's mean and rude in general. He ate a slice of my birthday cake that Grant made before I even got to see it. When we got engaged, he only said sorry to Grant. His nickname for me is Froggy because I have a frog personality. Now for the top comments before reading the update. The bigger question is, why you want to marry and commit your life to someone who thinks it's perfectly fine for his best friend to treat you this way? Do you want kids? If so, are you comfortable with Uncle Keith doing this to you in front of them? Or worse, doing it to them? Because he's not going anywhere. What do you think this would teach your kids? At a minimum, you need couples counseling before you remotely plan a wedding. More likely, you need to rethink why you're okay being married to someone who thinks you being treated badly is okay and doesn't care how you feel about it at all. Grant is a very sweet person. He thinks it's fine that Keith treats me this way because Keith treats him badly too, and he doesn't realize that it's actually not how you show love to a friend. Grant and I do want children. We're both in child-oriented careers. Keith's not a fan of kids, so I never thought of Uncle Keith as a possibility. Honestly, I have to think more about it because I wouldn't want my children growing up in an environment like that. I'm in therapy. I've encouraged Grant to go and he's thinking about it. I'm probably going to ask him for couples therapy if we want to make it work. Even if he's willing to accept being treated badly, he should want better for people he loves. Also, if he's such a sweet guy, it should bother him greatly that you are being hurt and this upset. Instead, he tells someone he's supposed to love that their feelings don't matter and to take being hurt over and over again. That's not sweet. He's sweet to Keith, not you. Keith is possessive of your significant other. He's not going to give him up to kids, and he's going to hate them as much or more than he does you. I don't see a way forward as is. This is much bigger than who's the best man. This is your significant other demanding a toxic, disrespectful, cruel person to be a consistent and regular part of your life. Talking to him hasn't worked. Counseling is all that's left. This is bigger than a fiancé's best friend problem. This is a fiancé problem. You are engaged to a man who sees abusive bullying behavior and is okay with it. Seriously, is Hannah okay? She gets reduced to tears in public and ends up marrying this guy? I hate to think what goes on behind closed doors. He can excuse it, he can defend it, he can be friends with it. He sees nothing wrong with it. You are on track to get married to a man who is okay with bullying and abuse. You need to pause your engagement and get into couples counseling and consider if you can really move on with Grant or not. I totally agree. This is a train wreck looking for a place to happen. Now for the update. So this probably isn't the update people were hoping for. I told Grant all of Keith's awful behaviors, and he interrupted me with the same tired excuses. I asked him if it wasn't Keith but some random person, would he see it as innocent? He was silent. So I made an ultimatum that we had to go to couples counseling for the marriage to go forward, and he agreed. Grant then brought up the wedding. There were a few reasons I didn't want Keith to be best man. One of them was the best man speech. I didn't want to be insulted even subtly on my wedding day. Grant said that if I didn't want Keith to be best man, then no one would be. I said that's fine. Honestly, I wanted to talk this over in couples counseling, but he insisted on rehashing our arguments. He also said that, just to be fair, I wouldn't have a maid of honor. I didn't understand this. Frankly, he didn't have a problem with my friends. Grant likes them. And it felt like he was just doing that to punish me. Then he said that if Keith wasn't invited to the wedding, which isn't what I said at all, then I shouldn't either invite my maid of honor Alice, who's my best friend, or Hannah. Hannah's a bridesmaid, but I don't understand how he dragged her into this besides being Keith's wife. It was a tit-for-tat situation. I think he was trying to make me back down by issuing ultimatums. It backfired because Grant told Keith about our arguments on him and Hannah not being invited to the wedding, which we hadn't even agreed on. And Keith laughed off him not getting invited, but he got really mad at Grant for uninviting Hannah. He screamed at Grant and basically won't talk to him anymore. Now Grant is upset because I'm mad at him and Keith is mad at him. I told him to save it for couples counseling because opening his mouth did nothing but ruin the situation. This is way too much drama for a wedding. I don't want this to be the rest of my life and our kids when we have them, and I'm rethinking our marriage. I wouldn't get married to him or even stay with him if he is okay with, and making excuses for, his friend treating you like dirt. You'll be happier without that enabler and his verbally abusive friend in your life. Grant is just a great person without Keith. Like if I could be with Grant, I would be happy. But Keith is always there. I don't understand it. Then again, do I even want to be with someone who chooses to be friends with a verbally abusive person? No, he's not. He's just quiet and like his best friend. Someone being good isn't about their behavior when they are pleased. It's about what they are like when they are tested. In this test, he is steamrolling you and picking Keith. I told him he's picking Keith over me, but he insists that I'm picking a fight where there is none and trying to force him to make a choice where there shouldn't be one. Yeah, Keith is his only friend. That's also not my friend, but I'm not the one isolating him. So Keith is a POS, but even he has enough decency to choose his pals over friends. Doesn't say much about Grant, does it? That's what shocked me. Keith doesn't care to be there for Grant, but he loves his pals enough to be mad she got uninvited. Grant honestly sounds like one of those guys that think more about their guy friends and values hanging out with his bros more than his wife. The cringy wedding photos with the groom and groomsman holding a sign, "Got married on a Friday because Saturday nights are for the boys." If that is the kind of relationship you want, that's fine. But don't go into this thinking you will ever have his respect or attention first. And I would rethink any person who try to put punishments on you because you have a legitimate problem. Like uninviting Hannah because you didn't want him as a best man. Grant's not one of the boys. He had to have more friends for that. Keith is his only friend that wasn't my friend first, or a friend of us together. I'm the opposite of a fan for Keith and Hannah's marriage, but he would stand up for his wife. He's still not talking to Grant after screaming at him. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think Grant tries to placate the most stubborn person in any relationship. If it was me versus his mom who's a sweetheart and a bit of a doormat, he'd take my side because I would stand up for myself. He'd try to make his mom back down, and she would. I've never had that happen, but I can see it. If it was me versus Keith, Keith is a selfish jerk who's never heard a word no in his life. So Grant would choose Keith and try to make me back down. The ultimatums were to make me back down, I think. Update. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my boyfriend's ex? Original post. I, 36 female, and my boyfriend, 42 male, have been together for 7 years. We have both been married and divorced before and like to be financially independent of each other and keep things pretty separate. What's mine is mine and what's his is his. I am CF. I've worked my butt up in my field and I'm comfortable. My boyfriend doesn't earn what I do. He pays a lot of child support to and contributes, as he should, to all of his 5 kids' after-school activities. So our deal between us is I pay all of our household bills / loans / food, and he looks after his kids and contributes what he can to our household. 5 years ago, I bought a home for us. I even went as far as buying a home that would suit his kids, so they would feel comfortable when they came and stayed with us. This caused a lot of drama. His ex felt that I was trying to buy the children, and in her words, she only got the house to rub in how much better she thinks she is. I have always kept my distance from his ex. It was a messy divorce for them, which she blamed on me. even though I didn't met my partner until they've been separated for nearly a year. She has a history of DV towards him, and my presence makes it worse. 18 months ago, I got a great job opportunity, which would mean we would need to relocate 12 hours away from our current home. After discussions between my boyfriend and my boyfriend and his ex, we agreed that we would make the move for my job and would rent my house to his ex for an incredible discounted rate with the agreement that this would only be for 2 years. Recently, my work circumstances have changed and we have relocated back to our hometown again. My boyfriend and I have found a small rental in the meantime. But since coming home, his ex has become more aggressive, particularly with me. She has told my partner that children have always hated me and were only nice because of him, but don't ever want to see me again. She has accused me of trying to buy the kids' love, making her look like a bad mother, and for basically being the root of all evil. Which is whatever to me. I do love the kids in my own way, but would hate to make them choose or feel uncomfortable by being around me. So we are making sure that my boyfriend spends as much time as possible with the kids and attends any sports or school events without me. And when I go away from work, they come to our house. I've suggested therapy or counseling, but the ex won't hear it, making it sound like I'm calling her bad mother for suggesting it. The 2 years is ending and I want my house back. Basically, the ex is saying if I'm rich enough to pay for a rental and pay a mortgage now, I should let her and the kids stay in the house. And since the kids now hate me, it would be a waste of space for just my boyfriend and I. And this situation is also leading to his kids telling my partner that they hate me even more for kicking them and their mother out of their home. My boyfriend is very torn. He just wants his kids safe and happy. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not a-hole. It's your house. Don't let her manipulate you just because you can't afford it and she can't. Gives me the vibes of this lady I read in a magazine years ago. She won £1.4 million on the lottery, and people stole her a car that she lent them because you can just buy a new one. Just because you can't afford a different house doesn't mean you owe this woman your house. Give her a month's notice, and you're gonna have to accept it if the kids are angry. You can't control how they feel, and if they're gonna be mad at you and not like you anyway, then that's up to them. They need to learn that they can't just walk over people and get what they want, which is what their mother is clearly teaching them. It was an incredibly bad idea to have the ex rent the house. From OP's POV, it was incredibly generous. Doesn't matter. The ex is always going to interpret everything the worst possible way. Now, OP is the bad guy for not simply giving the ex the house, which is utterly nonsense, but honestly predictable. OP needs to take back the house, but be ready for it to require an eviction and for the house to be torn up and OP to be depicted as the worst kind of person. OP is not a-hole, but she's terribly naive and has poor judgment. This was always a bad idea. OP, what are you getting out of this relationship really? Because this isn't going to end well, it will just get worse. Why are you financially supporting this guy who won't stand up for you? You claim he's working hard for both of you and the kids, but it doesn't seem that way. He has been letting his ex call all the shots in your relationship. Who are you in a relationship with? Him or his ex? You really don't need any of this. Once they're gone from your life, you'll feel a lot better. You're fighting a losing battle. Your boyfriend will never stand up for himself and call out his ex for parental alienation and other things going on. Don't you deserve better than this? You earn a ton of money. Enjoy your life. Stop worrying about kids who will continue to hate you. Trust me, this is only going to get worse. She's teaching them to be entitled to things that aren't theirs, yet treat the person they owe like trash. Therapy won't help when their mom is whispering in their ears. Not the a-hole, but the future looks pretty bleak with how things are going. They'll demand you for your money for college, weddings, down payments for their homes, baby-related stuff like baby showers, baby products, fertility treatments, and whatever else, while treating you like crap every step of the way. And your boyfriend will cave under every demand. The ex will egg it all on. Kick them out. Kick them all out and be free of them all. OP, what are you getting out of this relationship really? A loving and healthy relationship. As above, there are lots of complexities in a relationship that can't fit into a post, but I can safely say that I have a whole and fulfilling relationship. Everything written above does come off as I finance everything, which isn't wrong, but I can, and that's a choice I have made. I have only one living family member and no children, so I'm happy to help out my partner. I agree with some of the commenters here that it was a terrible idea to rent her in the first place, and I was truly naive thinking it would be appreciated by her. And honestly, if I could kick myself, I absolutely would. Isn't retrospect amazing? Lol. After some deep discussions and thought, we will be asking her to leave the house. We have a lease and agent in place, so they will handle that side of it. And my boyfriend understands the fallout. I just feel like guilt towards the children. None of this is their fault. Now for the update 4 months later. I've had some messages for an update on my original post, so if you're interested in the backstory, check out my profile. But ultimately, I wasn't the a-hole. I was the moron. After reading a lot of comments in my original post, I decided that while yes, I wanted my house back, I also didn't really love the idea of living in the house the nasty woman had lived in for longer than I. It didn't feel like my home anymore, and I really wanted my home to feel like my home. So I decided to sell. I spoke with my boyfriend and he was really non-committal on the situation but said it was my decision. I gave the ex the option to stay in the home, but I would sell it as an investment property with a tenant or she could move out. She went with going absolutely batshit crazy and decided to out hers and my boyfriend's reignited emotional love affair. As it turns out, since my boyfriend and I have returned to our hometown, and I still have to leave town frequently for work, they had gotten close again. The ex sent me a load of screenshots of steamy messages / pictures and long-winded messages whinging about me and that maybe I would just let him have the house if my boyfriend and I separated, since I wouldn't need all that space. I obviously confronted my boyfriend and he looked incredibly panicked, but admitted to all and said that it was more of an emotional relationship and it had not turned physical, and that he was very, very sorry and embarrassed, and was only leaning on her for comfort because I was away a lot. He also misses his kids, and it felt emasculated by me a lot of time. There are plenty of other reasons and excuses not even worth mentioning. Needless to say, I'm now single, have kicked him or her out and placed the house on the market for sale, and have just put an offer on a cute little townhouse on a beach. I've downloaded a dating app tonight after a few wines, and thought it was a good time to let Reddit know that most of you are right in my original post. Life isn't great, but I'm sure it'll be again one day. Felt emasculated by you? But it is completely okay and masculine when it comes to his batshit insane ex and baby mama? Well, damn. Hope he thinks it's worth it. It was all about the money. The main theme of the whingy messages was bloody money. Because I earned more, had more disposable income, also didn't have 5 kids. But what they both failed to see is, I work away 3 weeks a month for 12 hours a day to earn said money. The guy's a bigger idiot than I originally thought. No guy cares about their partner earning more or having more savings, unless there's a very, very good reason to be sketchy about it. In this case, his feeling emasculated about it ain't even close to a reasonable reasoning. But having a crazy chick going ham at every chance she can means that she would put me in a lot of embarrassing situations, and I would feel like walking on eggshells. Now that would be frustrating and emasculating. Honestly, he did you a favor here, and so did she. She exposed it, he confirmed it, and now you got 7 different kinds of headache and trash out of your life. You're better off for it. Yes, this is the update we needed. Can we have an update on if the cheating ex and his manipulative baby mama got back together? Are they struggling now that he hasn't got you paying for literally everything for him, and he now has to support 7 people again? I've been trying really hard to stay as oblivious as possible to their situation. Not really for them, but the kids. Despite what happened between me and their parents, I was a big part of their lives for years, and I do worry that they are now in an unsafe or unstable living situation due to their parents' stupidity / selfishness. So that part hurts to dwell on. But unfortunately, we live in a small town, so I do hear and see things. I was at a local market during the week and recognized one of the kids from a distance and hid. Sure enough, my ex was with her, so my assumption is they are together. It didn't really hurt to see them. It was like watching 2 people be so stupid, but knowing they're too stupid to see it. I'm glad you got rid of the deadweight. Do you know where they ended up? Not a clue. I'm not even sure if they're really together or not. After I confronted him about it all, I told him he could have the rental and I would find elsewhere to live. I left my real estate agent to deal with his ex, and told them some of the situation and that I didn't want to know anything other than when she was out of the house and when the house is sold. So far, I've been told she left the house mid-November. House went on the market mid-December. I've been staying willfully ignorant of their circumstances for my own sanity. Edit. Honestly, I'm a little bit emotional about how nice and supportive you are all being. I've been kicking myself stupid for the last few months about being so obtuse and people pleaser about the whole situation. I'm sure those comments will come, but I can promise everyone, no one is more critical than myself right now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my kids to my wedding? I, 48 female, am getting married to a 39 male who never been married before. This is my second marriage. The first ended with my husband cheating on me and moving in with his mistress. He offered me a tidy sum to divorce him. I took that money and moved abroad where I met my now husband. My kids, 27 male and 25 female, are angry they were not invited to my wedding. They found out through my extended family that I'm getting remarried. I'm not in contact with them by choice. They kept trying to make me get along with my ex and his mistress. Apparently, I was to graciously roll over and accept their disrespect. I have no desire to be friends with my ex-mistress. We got divorced 5 years ago, so they were 23 and 20. They wanted me to be friends with my ex and his mistress. My ex wanted me to give my blessings for his relationship. Apparently, I was his best friend and he loved me as the mother of his children, but he was in love with his mistress. He was shocked when I no longer wanted to contact him. My kids thought I should forgive him and be friends. They went as far as to invite me to lunch or dinner with them and then surprise invite my ex and his mistress. They would host family events with their significant others and lie to me that ex would be earlier or later, so I did bump into him. Of course, he was always there. They cannot handle the fact that he and I are no longer in speaking terms and want us to get along. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my kids to my wedding? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The way your children have behaved towards you so far, I would be worried that they wouldn't do something wrong at the wedding. Also, I still think it's pretty cold-hearted and selfish for your children and ex-husband to keep confronting you about your ex-husband's cheating and asking for your blessing? What the heck is wrong with them? Your kids are over 20 and should know better. I think they believe me blessing my ex's relationship absolves him of guilt. Their father still maintains I'm his best friend and mother of his children. Who would treat their best friend like this? People say my best friend when they really mean my best doormat. Not the a-hole. Sadly, it may take something like what happened to you to happen to them before they understand. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope they never go through the pain I went through. Thank you. I never thought I would get remarried, but he won me over thoroughly. Not the a-hole. Email something like this to your children. You weren't invited to my wedding because you don't respect my boundaries. On multiple occasions, you have ambushed me with your father's and woman he cheated on me with's presence at events in which you assured me they wouldn't be there. Your father cheated on me, yet you criticize me and apparently absolve him of the wrongdoing that he did to me. I don't know how your ethical beliefs got so twisted, but this behavior is hurtful and wrong. I'm not in contact with you for those reasons. If you ever decide that there was no justification for your father's cheating and that I deserve to be treated in a loving and respectful way, I will happily welcome you back into my life. Not the a-hole. I was very ready to say you're the a-hole after reading the title. My father been remarried 3 times since our parents divorced, and neither myself or my sisters have ever been invited to any of the weddings. And we always thought we had a good relationship with our dad. If you're not in contact with them for your own mental health, then no, you're not required to invite them. A gentle reminder, you don't have to be the bigger person. You don't have to accept insincere apologies. You don't have to tolerate relationships that drain you. You don't have to spend your whole life showing up for people who have no interest in showing up for you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex that her kids were not my problem or my son's problem? My ex, Tammy Lynn, tried to get me to give up my custody of my son so that her new husband could adopt him, and they could have a family that did not involve me. I refused. It cost me a lot of legal fees, but I got 50-50 custody of my son. Tammy Lynn and her husband had 2 kids together before she got sick, and a classic guy she left me for left her while she was dealing with cancer. My son was 14 when this happened, and he pretty much took over taking care of his half-brother and sister. It started to affect his schoolwork. I told him that he was a good kid for taking care of his siblings, but not at the cost of his own future. I talked to her about what was going on, and she said that she didn't want anything from her ex. She said that taking child support from him would let him get away and just pay money. I said I fully understood that sentiment, but that if she was going to put my son's future in jeopardy with her stupidity, then I was going to file for full custody and child support from her. She said I was being an a-hole for interfering in her marriage, and that I was still bitter from our breakup. I'm not. I'm happy with the life I have now. I was hurt when she left, and I did want her back at the beginning, but I'm over all that. Before you judge me, please know that she has money, and her ex can afford child support. And that I don't think my kid should be working as an unpaid caregiver when he has homework, and they can afford daycare and nanny. Not the a-hole. Seems like you're the only one currently advocating for your child, as you should. Navigating complex family dynamics, I prioritized my son's well-being over bitterness, ensuring you thrive despite the challenges thrown our way. Before you judge me, already wasn't judging you. You are 100% correct and not the a-hole. She birthed all those children, so she should take care of them, not your son. Or find someone who does it. It's okay if the older child help when asked, but it's not okay to make them play a parent. Those children have too. Their father should have them if their mother is too sick to take care of them. Not the a-hole. It's great that your kid wants to help his mom, but he's just a kid. He needs to do kid stuff and live a young person's life. Exactly. OP, push ahead with your plans for full custody. You should also contact Child Services to advise them about her parentification to strengthen your case against her. Not the a-hole. Not post. My parents had me at 16. They were both in high school. After I was born, my father dropped out to work full-time and take care of me so my bio mother could stay in school. Eventually, after finishing high school, she realized that motherhood wasn't for her and left my dad and me. I was 2, so I don't really remember her being around. After that, my father worked 3 times as hard to provide for me. He also met a nice woman whom he later married when I was 7. I consider her my mom, but I'll call her my stepmother to avoid confusion. My bio mother didn't contribute in any way, not even financially. In fact, the last time she contacted me before now was on my 3rd birthday, which was just a quick happy birthday card through the mail. I never had ill feelings toward her decision because I had my dad, mom, and brother who filled the emptiness she left. My parents have never said anything negative about her. Her leaving me was not something I thought about every day, so you can imagine my confusion when she reached out on social media to talk. I thought about it for days before I agreed. We met in a restaurant for the first time in 25 years. It was awkward, small talk at the beginning before we delved into why she left. My bio mother teared up while explaining why. She suffered from postpartum depression and felt trapped by a constant cycle, so she felt compelled to leave. She explained why she reached out and made it clear that she didn't leave because of me. Of course, I sympathized with her, as I saw my stepmom go through postpartum depression with my brother and saw how much it affected her. We met a couple more times before I was invited to meet her new family. She had a husband and also 3 other children, 13 female, 11 male, and 7 female. After a week of this, I had my most recent meetup with my bio mother. She looked distressed while greeting me, so I asked if anything happened. She then explained to me in a quick response that her oldest daughter, 13 female, has health issues. I won't say what due to how sensitive it is, but she explains that she needs $25,000 for medication and has accumulated medical bills of $20,000 and asked if I could pay it off. For context, after graduating and receiving my postgraduate diploma, I landed my dream job that earned a good sum of money. I'm certain she may have heard about where my job was from somewhere and saw it as an opportunity. She gave me time to think about it, but it didn't take long for me to say no to it. I felt used and exploited. She never wanted to meet me. She just wanted money from the child she left to help the other child that she loves. After giving my response, which wasn't much, just a simple "no, I don't feel comfortable with that" through text, I was soon bombarded with text messages from her husband telling me what a nasty piece of work I was, followed by more texts from my bio mother about how I'm so cruel for not helping out my sister due to my grudge against her. And then, to top it all off, I was getting some messages from family members from her side of the family questioning why I'm being so difficult. So am I really terrible for not paying for my half-sister's medication and medical bills? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. This was 100% a scheme to get your money and nothing more. She hasn't thought about you in 25 years until she needed money. I'm sorry, your bio mom is a terrible human. I'm happy you found a mother and someone who wanted to be there for you. Do not give them 1 cent, or they will bleed you dry. When you actually feel remorse for your horrible actions, you don't immediately solicit the person you wronged for money, no matter the circumstances. The harassment from her side from saying no should only put in concrete what you already suspected. Cut all contact and go live your life. Yes, and block them. You don't know those people. They may be blood relatives, but they're not your family. Don't give them anything, not even a penny. Also, your real mom, not a bio leech, had postpartum depression and stayed. She can pay for it with all the money that she didn't put towards raising you. How much money should your father have accumulated on your behalf and child support back pay by now? You, graciously, will not go after that, and those funds can be used to pay for your half-sister's medical bills. Not the a-hole. Your bio mom reaching out suddenly could have been great, but this seems so manipulative and calculated that this was probably a con to get money and then ghost you. The real nasty piece of work is your bio mom for thinking that she was within her rights to ask you for money to the tune of $45K, just because she included you in her family for a few weeks after not being part of your life since you were a toddler. I have nothing but sympathy for your sick half-sister, but $20K in existing medical bills doesn't accumulate overnight, which leads me to believe this was something premeditated on the part of the adults. OP has already given her mom way over $45K when her dad let her off the hook for 16 years worth of child support. The bio mom also started having more kids when Opie was 14, but it took her more than a decade to reach out to the kid she abandoned. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for the feedback and support. I just wanted to answer some questions and provide some clarity. I've learned more about what was happening in my bio mom's family. First of all, I questioned why she had 3 more children despite her postpartum depression. It turns out that she and her husband found out early on about the severity of their first daughter's illness. They had 2 additional children, 11 male and 7 female, as savior siblings for their oldest daughter's medical treatment, but neither of them were matches. I've currently blocked her and her husband. I didn't go into this expecting to reconnect with my bio mom. That wasn't a plan. I already have a mom, and I didn't need another one. I just wanted to give her a chance to explain herself. I never wanted a mother-daughter bond, just to be cordial or friendly. My family supported me in meeting my bio parent, and I didn't blindside them. I'm happy with my own family and don't need her to complete it. It's not her leaving that bothers me, it's her current actions. But even through that all, I will sympathize with her only on the basis that she suffered with PPD. When my bio mom left, my grandparents and biological aunt stood by my dad. They raised me alongside my parents. They say she's always been mentally unstable and manipulative. I feel bad for my half-sister, but I can't give her the money. Sometimes I wish I had ignored my bio mom from the beginning. Also, I blocked the strangers calling my phone a while back. Just forgot to add that in. This update shows she is a bigger POS than the first post showed her to be. It is disgusting to have more children just to save a different one. You made a right call not sending her a cent. She had 2 more children after her eldest, for the purpose of one of them being a savior sibling? That's more sickening. But even after reading the update, I'm more concerned about the children than before. Your egg donor and her husband don't seem to be people who should be allowed to raise children. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing a relationship with my biological mom? Original post. I, 16 female, was adopted when I was a baby. My bio mom was in her early 20s when she gave birth to me. I'm not sure exactly how old she was or how old she is now, but she wasn't ready for a baby, so she gave me up for adoption. My adoptive parents don't know anything about my dad or anything more about my bio family. My parents told me a month ago that my bio mom reached out and asked if she could meet me. They said it's up to me, and I can if I want. I decided to meet her just out of curiosity, and because I wanted to know the details of why she gave me up, who my bio dad is, etc. She drove to our town and we met for coffee, then told me I can ask her what I want and she'll be honest. I asked her why she gave me up, and she said she was young and thought she would be throwing her life away with a child. She went on to get married and be quite successful in her career as a scientist. I asked her why she decided to look for me, and she said she always wondered what I turned out like. And now that she's settled in her life, she would love for us to have a relationship, especially since she's struggled to conceive and she's come to terms with me being her only child. That hurt my feelings, to be honest. Like she only remembers that she has a child now that she can't have anymore? She probably wouldn't have even reached out if she didn't have trouble conceiving. She said she would like it if I could come over on breaks and stay with her and her husband. I told her thanks for reaching out and answering my questions, but I'm not really interested in a relationship with her, that she only wanted me because she can't have more kids. I told her I get giving up a child when she was very young, and I genuinely don't blame her for it, but it's been 16 years. I don't need a relationship with her now, and I'm not really comfortable with it either. She looked really sad but said she understood. She went back to her city and has been texting me every so often, dropping hints that she wants me to come visit her. Yesterday, she sent me a picture of a room she decorated in pink. I don't even like pink, and said she's excited for when I come visit. Clearly, she hadn't gotten the hint, so I told her to please stop this and that I wasn't going to visit. I kind of feel bad and guilty somehow, but I really don't want to keep forcing myself to speak to this lady or go visit her. I don't want her to think I'm spiteful for her giving me up, but I just don't want a relationship with her and her husband. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Why would she admit that she was reaching out because she can't have other kids? What a way to make you feel special. Lol. Not the a-hole. She made her choice and you're making yours. You don't blame her for her choices, and she can't blame you for yours. You shouldn't have to build a relationship with her if you don't want to, just because she'll be sad. Since I can't have any other children, I guess you'll do. Totally, and I didn't want the burden of a child while I focused on myself. But when I help fill this void I have now, I don't think the bio mom is malicious, just selfish and oblivious to her own actions. OP's feelings make complete sense. Not the a-hole. Having a relationship with your biological mother is a big decision, and not a thing you should feel manipulated or emotionally blackmailed into doing. Set it at your pace and your boundaries. Would you feel comfortable having your parents support you by gently reminding bio mom that you are not ready to have her more in your life and she needs to respect that? Now for the update. Didn't expect to update at all, and definitely not so soon, but I had a call with bio mom. She hadn't responded to my messages asking her to stop, and that I wouldn't be coming over, and she called me about an hour ago. She asked me to explain what makes me so uncomfortable about having a relationship with her and why I'm being so mean when she's just trying to bond with me. I told her what she said about wanting a relationship with me now because she can't have other kids makes me feel like I'm her last resort, and she would have never reached out if she had kids. She said she's sorry for saying that, but I did ask her to be honest about why she looked for me, and she was just being honest. I said yes, I did, and thanks for your honesty, but that doesn't mean I have to be happy with your response. She said if I don't look at it as being her last resort, I can gain another mom and dad with her and her husband, because they have love to give that they don't have other kids to give to. I could tell she was trying to make the situation sound better, but honestly, it was just making me feel worse. I said I don't want or need another mom or dad, and that she doesn't get to give me away when I was inconvenient, then think I'm going to welcome her into my life with open arms just because she wants to play the role of a mother bear to someone. I told her she's literally a stranger, and it's bizarre that she wants to have a close relationship with me just because we're blood. I admit this was meaner than I intended it to be, and I did regret saying it, although it's 100% what I feel. I said in my post yesterday that I wasn't spiteful, but I probably am. I don't know why she can't choose to pick her career over her child, that expect a mother-daughter relationship when other people have done all the work of raising me. Don't get me wrong, I don't believe giving me up for adoption was easy for her at all. It couldn't have been. But she made a choice to further her career instead of raising me. Clearly, that choice has been the best one for us both, because she got the career she wanted, and I grew up in an amazing family with the best parents I could have asked for. So I don't really resent the outcome, but I resent the audacity she has to think we can just magically develop a mother-daughter bond because of her desires and despite my own. I know a lot of you said to not burn this bridge because I might need her one day, and that may be true. The feelings on this might change, but I don't think there's going to be a time where I think she handled this correctly and had my well-being at heart. This entire thing has felt like it was just about her and not even the slightest bit about me and what she thinks I need or want. After I said what I said, she said fine and that she won't contact me again. I told her I'm sorry for being harsh and I really don't want to be mean or cause her any hurt, but this is hard on me too. Lastly, I said thanks to her for placing me up for adoption because I have an amazing life and I wouldn't change it for anything. So that's it, and that bridge may be burnt. My bad, lol. As some of you suggested, I think I'll ask my parents to contact her for medical information and dad's side of the family in case I want to reach out. I know many people won't agree with what I did and how I went about it, but honestly, I feel good. I'm less anxious now that it feels like this chapter is closed. All I gained from her wanting to meet me is anxiety and uncertainty. I feel better now that I'm not wondering what's going to happen with her. If I end up wanting anything to do with her in the future, I'm not sure what I'll do, but I'm not worried. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Thank you to everyone for your advice. I really appreciate it. You stayed true to yourself, OP. And if your anxiety has stopped since the last convo with your bio mom, then maybe it was for the best. Sometimes our body shows us what is best for us. Wish you all the best. OP's logic is perfect too. This woman basically wants a shortcut to being a mom. You don't get a mother-daughter relationship by being blood-related. You get it by raising your daughter every single day for years. The connection is built by doing all the hard things that raising a kid entails. You can't skip that part. This is part of the whole package. She wants to come in after all the hard work is done and reap the benefits. No, you don't get to do that. Absolutely right. I couldn't believe in the first post that a bio mom said she did it for herself and not for her child. It was all about her well-being, not her child's. The whole first post sounded very self-centered on the bio mom's part. She seems to not be concerned of this having a relationship would be beneficial for OP and pushed way too hard. If she had gone slow, respected OP's boundaries and shown the least bit of concern for how it's affected the child, maybe, just maybe she could be given a chance. I'm so impressed with how OP handled her feelings and articulated them. She stood up for herself, And that's a very grown-up thing to do. It shows the parents who raised her did an awesome job. You did good. She is a stranger. You do not in any way owe her a relationship, and the fact she assumed she could just be your new mom, and her refusal to respect her clearly defined boundaries, indicates she didn't think of you as a person, just the way she could play mommy to the imaginary child she had in her head. If she refuses to give you medical information, that just further reinforces that your feelings and desires were never important to her. She may not respect this request, but maybe she will. Once she gets over the disappointment, she may come to understand that she went about this in entirely the wrong way and ruined her opportunity to have any kind of relationship with you. You didn't burn a bridge. You refused to let someone else build an imaginary one. Also, OP could just as easily do medical genetic testing and cut out the need for having a talk to bio mom at all.